With millions of YouTube channels, lovers of the weird, wacky, and what the choose Talks-A-Lot Entertainment. This is Dix News International. Hello and welcome to Dix News International. I am your host, Corey, of the Dix Division, here on Talks-A-Lot Entertainment. Hail! Welcome. We get more weird, crazy, weird, mind-boggling bullshit to talk about, so much so that I've had to start doing more streams. But this one's an international news show. Yeah, it's a show. That's what it is. Yeah, I'm going to talk about some stupid shit from all over the world and some dick countries. Yeah. But anyway, I hope everyone is doing well. Let's say hi to the chat, shall we? We have Vince Womack. Greetings and salutations. We have Jason Fox of 540 Studio. Hail. This, of course, is going to be a Dix Division stream. If any other Dix Division members show up, they have the link. So if they do, then they're more than welcome. But yes, and as Vince points out, no Florida man allowed. That's right. We will not be talking about any U.S. related news, not directly related to the U.S., but I will tie some things together to the U.S. in certain segments of tonight's episode. This, of course, is only going to be an hour long, so I have time to get ready for the meltdown tonight as well. But in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, let's see what Jason Fox thinks of Norway. He says, Norway is fucking trash. Yes, it is. From everything I've heard, it is. If it weren't for the people in the government, it would be a beautiful place to vacation. But, from what I hear, it's very, boring, lack of diversity, lack of, independence and free thought and such, because Norway is a socialist shithole parading around as a capitalist society pretending to be something they're not. Like most other countries in the world, if we're being honest. Even the United States is being overrun. But we're not talking about that tonight. This is the international show. I'm just giving it a minute, by the way. Wow. And Vince Womack says beer is way too expensive. Well, that's an automatic reason not to go to Norway for anyone who likes beer. It's going to be stupid expensive. Duh. And of course, make sure you're following us on Rumble. For all of those watching on the replay and live right now, make sure you're following me in both places, because both places have the content. Yeah, and if you don't feel like supporting YouTube, Rumble is a great place to go. Just saying. Now then, let's talk about some Norwegian trespassers, shall we? As I choke on my water. Anyway. Oh, yeah, it's over here. That's right. It is over here. So, Norway needs to learn to mind its fucking boundaries, okay? Its borders. Because guess what? There's Norwegian trespassers in the motherland of Russia. That is right. Russia is demanding Norway pay up to $4.4 million in compensation for 42 Norwegian reindeer wandering across the border. I mean, bro, $4.4 million for Norwegian reindeer going, hey, I'm going to go over here and eat some grass, bro. Gosh. Jason Fox says beer in Norway is way too expensive. Norway. Also, cheap beer is too much money at times. I could see that. Hail to Dalu. Sup? Now back to these dirty Norwegians crossing border of Russia. Look at them. It's ridiculous. So here's bullet points. 42 reindeer cross from Norway into Russia. Oh, man. Russia wants up to $4.4 million in compensation. Oh, man, because it's national park. Why would they not do that, right? Norway is now repairing the rundown fence. But here's where things get interesting. Russia is demanding compensation from Norway for runaway reindeer chewing up Russian grassland. Both countries share a common border in the Arctic. Ugh. And while the fence is there to prevent the reindeer from crossing, the barrier dates back to 1954 with parts in disrepair. No shit, much like Russia itself, everything is in disrepair. But anyway, the rundown fence allowed 42 reindeer to cross into Russia this year in search of better pastures in Pazvik Zapovednik, a Russian national park. We're just going to skip over that picture. Fuck that. Anyway, Russia has already sent one claim with two different ways of calculating the compensation. And this is where things get odd. Okay, so the two methods that they actually give very different results, as it says here. So from 50,000 kroner, which is $4,700, to 47 million kroner, which is $4.4 million. This is separate calculations being run on this. So I don't know what math they're doing, but of course the latter claim is calculated based on the total number of days the reindeer have spent grazing in the national park. It can't be that bad. I mean, this is all to fund Ukraine. Honestly, this is crazy. See, Vince understands. Thinking immigrants coming over here and eating all our grass. What are the Russian people supposed to eat once this war carries on much longer? Anyway. Small Time Republic says, in Mother Russia, math do you. It does. It does. It does you very well. It bends you over and it kisses you on cheek and then it rams it home until you scream like little girl. But anyway, that is neither here nor there. Excuse me, I just goes to adjust these mic stuff. It might be noisy. Okay, I'm sorry if that was Navy. I'm sorry. Dalu says, my neighbor's ducks sometimes come into my yard and it never occurred to me to sue. Well, you're welcome. Take inspiration from Mother Russia and sue your neighbor over duck coming into yard. Yes. But of course, Norway's agricultural directorate has reminded people to keep their reindeer in check. I never thought I'd actually hear that. I know I don't live up near the Arctic, but let's be honest. This is a public service announcement for the northwestern or northeastern regions of Norway. Please keep your reindeer in check. If they cross over again, it may be considered an act of war. The authorities said that 40 of the 42 reindeer that crossed into Russia have been returned and slaughtered for fear that they would cross into Russia again. Man, they're really scared of those reindeer over there. Are they like super dangerous reindeer? Are they like man-eating reindeer? I mean, I don't know. Oh my gosh. The other two could be returned soon to be slaughtered because they're afraid that they might come back. We cannot have any unchecked foodstuffs entering the borders of Russia. It is not okay. Okay? Okay. Norwegian Directorate of Agriculture said in a statement it is strictly forbidden to cross the border of Russia for reindeer, too. Damn it, reindeer. Don't you know the law? Don't you know the law? I mean, seriously. You just don't let your reindeers cross into Russia. That is the law. Goodness gracious. And of course, the Russians' Natural Resources and Environment Ministry did not respond for comment. Listen, Norway, I'm coming to you as a friend right now. Stop fucking around. Reindeer in check, or it's going to be another $4.4 million paycheck or check you're going to have to write to Russia. And you know that's directly funding this whatever the fuck is going on. Dalu asks, did Russia at least have signs up? No. They had to take down all the road signs to turn them into body armors for the troops that they let free from the prisons. Just saying. Vince Womack says, did they even check their passports? Maybe they were Russian reindeer just returning home. This is very true. And, oh, yes, Dalu in reindeer. They could have had the signs up in reindeer, but, you know, they can barely even get Cyrillic down. So why would they try to learn another language? Give me a break. The only people that get to learn other languages in Russia are movie stars and FSB agents. That's it. And they don't even call them the other languages. They're like, this is Russia 2.5. I mean, they could have been. I mean, I can't get past that. Yeah, you're right, dude. Vince has a point. They could have just been like, they really don't check papers. They shoot first and ask questions later. You know what I mean, homie? I mean, honestly, what the fuck does Russia actually expect? Like, they're just going to be like, hey, bro, $4 million for damage to grass. Despite the fact that these reindeer might have been here naturally if we weren't retarded and had to put up fence. Just saying, when you get greedy, people don't like you. Russia. If you want to support the channel, go ahead and hit the Ko-Fi link in the description or in the live chat. That being said, we're going to move on to something that's slightly more concerning than reindeers going into Russia. Now, on the surface, this next thing is actually going to seem like a good idea. Okay. And it has a lot of potential and a lot of promise. But I got to say, the UK does not have a good fucking track record with this kind of shit. And that is tagging domestic abusers with electronic tags as they're leaving the prison. We will go over this article. We will check out what's going on, and then we'll explore some possibilities on why this might be abused in the future, or how it might be abused in the future. And then they might have to get tagged. So, domestic abusers will be electronically tagged on leaving prison under government pilot to protect victims. The scheme has been praised. I love it when they use the word scheme, like that doesn't have any negative connotations to it. Has been praised as a positive step forward in protecting victims. But Labour claims the government has a shameful record of ignoring domestic abuse. The UK government? Really? There's no way the UK government has a terrible time talking about it. Like, it's not like domestic abuse is like the number one fucking national issue, in my opinion, for your general British citizen. You know, dating back long time ago, it was just a normal thing for dad to get knockered and then start knocking heads. Domestic abuse is almost a second fucking nature in some parts of the UK. Vince Womack says, so domestic abusers under house arrest, where they committed the abuse? Possibly, but we'll get into that in just a second. Dalu says, grooming gang scandals. Yes, indeed. Okay, so domestic abusers will be forced to wear electronic tags on leaving prison or risk being sent back to detention under a pilot scheme launched by the government to protect victims. Another good point there, Dalu. Labor has no room to talk. They're fucking terrible. Up to 500 people will be made to wear the devices, which can monitor their whereabouts, enforce a curfew, and ban them from going into within certain distance of a victim's home. Does it like shoot out a net and like trap them to the ground if they get within a certain amount, like certain distance? Like, otherwise, isn't this just an ankle monitor? I had to wear 2 one time. I don't see how that's a big deal. Gosh. Anyway, the pilot will launch in the East and West Midlands before it rolls out across England and Wales next year, the Ministry of Justice has said. Nicole Jacobs, the Domestic Abuse Commissioner for England and Wales, welcomed the pilot as a positive step forwards in protecting victims. By blocking perpetrators from contacting victims, the Unwanted Prisoner Contact Scheme sets an important standard that the criminal justice system will not be used to further domestic abuse, making a difference for survivors' safety, recovery, and freedom from abuse. For too long, the onus has been on victims of domestic abuse to protect themselves from harm. Lord Chancellor and Justice Secretary Alex Chalk said, survivors of domestic abuse show great strength and bravery in coming forward, and it is right that every tool is used to protect them from further harm. The tagging of prisoners levers at risk of committing further domestic abuse. Oh my gosh, that broke my brain. Levers? English. Is a further protection we are introducing to help victims rebuild their lives and feel safe in their community. But Labor's shadow... okay, this is where things kind of broke my brain a little bit, okay? Labor's Shadow Justice Secretary, Steve Reed, said the government had a shameful record of ignoring domestic abuse. What is shadow justice? What is Labor's shadow justice? It's time for a Google search. UK shadow justice secretary. The fuck is shadow justice? What the fuck is it? Shadow justice. Shadow Secretary of the State for Justice. You guys have some really weird names in this kind of shit. Wow, I wish I hadn't opened that link. That lady is fucking ugly. Damn, I'm not going to subject you guys to that. Ugh. It's basically the minority party. Okay. I wish I would have looked at that comment before I opened the wiki on what that was, because damn, that bitch's face was ugly. I'm very shallow when it comes to these things. Ugly people just turn me away. Like, look at that guy's ears. Anyway, the pilot is a pathetic effort to stem the rising tide of violence against women and girls that has skyrocketed on their watch. What about the historical fucking track record of male abuse? Physically, God knows, probably sexually, but let's be honest, all right? Male victims in the UK are probably equal to women and children in some regards, because or women and girls, because when you're a young boy in England, from my understanding, there is a lot of pressure on you from a lot of different places to behave in a lot of different ways. And a lot of the time, if you're not behaving in a way that that your dad or whoever your father figure is at the time is okay with, then he's just going to whoop your ass until you're black and blue. But anyway, they've stood idly by as domestic violence has more than doubled since 2015, yet the number of prosecutions has plummeted by half. Wow, UK, what's up? So the development coincides with special report. Okay, the rest of this, whatever. Okay, let's talk about electronically tagging people. If it is something as simple as, because they don't explain what it was. They don't explain what the tags are. But okay, so Vince Womack says, if not more, in regards to the young male abuse population that exists. And he says, if not more, there is still a stigma attached for men who get hit by women. Well, yeah, and that's a huge thing in the United States as well. Is if you get beat by your woman, a lot of people are afraid to talk about it because they feel like makes you less of a man. But realistically, you're an abuse victim, and you just need to come out and actually talk about it. You need to come out and talk about these things. But the thing that gets me is the implementation of tagging systems for something like this is a long-term tagging system. And when I say long-term, I'm talking like 8 to 10 years of tracking these people, making sure that they don't go where they're supposed to go, stuff like that. And this is my thought. Dalu says it sounds like a cover to run a pilot surveillance program. And that's where my concerns lie with this, because as we know, if it happens in any other part of the world, there's a chance that it could happen in the United States. If there's a chance something that happens in the United States, then there's a chance that it can spread to the rest of the world. And that's why the international scene is actually important. I know it's not as important as the local stuff is, because honestly, if you don't do anything on the local level, et cetera, but the international scene is important because depending on how they choose to tag these individuals, my hope is either ankle monitors or some kind of like thing they have to wear, like maybe a necklace or something. But there's always a chance that they could electronically tag these people with actual tags, like subdermal tagging. We're getting into conspiracy theory level, but this is the Ministry of Truth we're talking about, and they want to make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to do, right? And if there's any time to be concerned about increasing surveillance on anybody, it's now. Now, I absolutely think that they need to do a damn better job of policing and monitoring domestic abuse. But they also need to do a damn better job of providing access to adequate treatment. And that's where we get into the crazy parts of all this. Okay, domestic abusers need treatment as much as victims do. Will they benefit from it? I don't think so, but that's where the punishment phase comes in. You have to be able to punish people, but you have to give them the ability to reform, to reform their way of thinking and stuff, because some of the people that wind up being a domestic abuser don't think that there's any other way to be when you're in an intimate relationship, because their parents were like that, their dad was like that, their grandpas was like that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's normal for them, and that's something that, in my opinion, needs to be deprogrammed. And that's really where domestic abuse focus needs to be, because monitoring is great. You want to keep them away, then keep them away. But when you start tagging in a pilot program without much details on what kind of tags they are, where they might be located, stuff like that. And this was released on September 1st. So if they give any updates on this, I'll try to keep up with it. But Vince Womack says police in the UK were whining during the coup because they just rolled out cameras with facial recognition software and everybody had their faces covered. Yeah, surveillance is a big want over there. For real. Hail to Sean E-Step. Yeah. What did you say there? Dix News, short broadcast. You're funny. It kind of is, though, because we're still only going for an hour. That's why I'm kind of hitting these and going. If you guys have an opinion on any of these, please feel free to drop it in the chat. Please feel free to throw it in the comment section on the replay. My internet was shitting out there for a second. I apologize. Yeah. I do apologize. Vince Womack also says Scandinavian countries are pretty good with rehabilitation. Unless you're a reindeer, according to Dalu. But why is my internet shutting out? Whatever. The big problem that I have with this is the UK is going to expand electronic monitoring no matter what, and we're going to get a police state in the UK worse than it is, and eventually they're going to give their cops guns again. That's going to be a problem. Trust me, going to be a problem. Hail, Poe Baby 74. He says, once you're tagged, you always tagged mine. Hail. Yep. And that's the thing is like if they decide to go with subdermal tags so they can do lifelong monitoring on abusers, that generates a huge fucking issue. Big issue. Okay. Just checking the Rumble chat real quick. I don't mean to give you dead air. I could give you heavy breathing. That's a heavy person breathing. Sorry. Yeah. Might want to clarify that. My bad. My bad. So, while we're in the halfway part of our show, I'm just going to take a second to talk about things that. Yes, Poe Baby correcting himself. Thank you. Vince Womack, absolutely right. It won't stop with abusers. You're 100% right. I am going to try to get myself some more bandwidth here. Try to kick some people off the internet. Yeah. Da, 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 da. All right. Anyway, it won't stop with abusers. It will roll on to being petty criminals as well. And then eventually it'll probably be included in just being able to go outside so they can monitor where all their citizens are. And, 1984, Brave New World, all these things, they all had that very, overlordy look, if you think about it. Like, there's going to be someone monitoring you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It'll be crazy. Small Time Republic says when they track more people, they will say it's for the greater good. That's what they always fucking say. Traffic ticket tagged. Hail to unacceptable views. He says, hi, Corey. Drop by to give a like. Peace, brah. Peace. Thanks for the like. Appreciate it. Word. And that's just it, is the UK's government is especially set up where they don't need the people's input to pass any type of escalation laws or anything that would modify this law to cover a greater frequency of crimes. Who's to say that petty offenses like traffic tickets or even just simple possession of paraphernalia would get you tagged, and now they know where you are and they have access to anything they want to see all the time. Because it also said in the article about stopping them from being able to communicate with them, which means it's probably tied into their phone. Just saying. And if it's anything like American house arrest, then you have to carry something along with you within a certain distance of the ankle monitor or whatever monitor in order for it to correctly work. And that's where things become tricky, because now we have these fun, fancy little things in our pockets that track us everywhere we go already. And so, when you go on probation in the future, it's going to be something along the lines of, okay, download this app, put out your hand, and they're going to stick you with something, and then it's going to directly connect through NFT or NFC, whatever it's called, to your phone. And it's going to be like, okay, now if this leaves more than 5 feet away from your body, we will arrest your ass and we will throw you in the hole for reconditioning, and we will re-educate you until you are a good little drone. We should stop calling it the UK and call it by its real name, Airstrip 1. I don't get the joke. They're certainly not united, however you look at that. Yeah. Yeah. See, and then you also have to wonder though, like what kind of information are they allowed to access once you're tagged with this? I mean, yeah, 1984. I don't know what I said earlier. But I don't know. Hail to sanding monkey. Hey, he's sanding pretty rough grain there, bro. The next one raises a number of concerns for many reasons. And I have to lament the fact that my brethren of the Dix Division aren't here to talk about this one, because as a person who's no longer on Twitter, Airstrip 1 was England's name in 1984. Oh, see, I don't remember key details like that, bro. Anyway, I feel like the next story that we're going to talk about is some hail to sanding monkey. Hail. Is a prelude to what we're going to see, not in the same sense or for the same things, but we're going to see this recur and ripple across the entirety of the civilized world. Okay. Recently, there was a class action lawsuit filed against X, previously known as Twitter. This lawsuit includes this lawsuit is actually for assisting Saudi Arabia in committing human rights violations by allowing them access to sensitive information that other countries don't ask for, and we don't want them. And there's a reason for that, because we believe in protecting our citizens. But for the first time, I always joked about this, never thinking about the fact that it would become reality one day. But this, ladies and gentlemen, is why Twitter is being sued for aiding human rights violations. Okay, ready? A Saudi man sentenced to death for tweets in harshest verdict yet for online critics. This was published August 31st of this year. This, of course, is coming from NPR, so there's going to be a lot of political bullshit news, like lingo in it. It's a 3-minute listen, but I swear I'm going to stretch this out like you have no idea. Okay? Let's just think about this. Sentenced to death for tweets. Just let that sink in for a second. Just think about it. A man is going to be put to death for his tweets. And in Saudi Arabia, in the United Emirates, it still surprises me that something like this happens, even though I know their politics, I know their religions. Right? Po babies all like, oh snap, I best get off X then. I heard their videos are really good. Sounds like somebody's here. Anyway, so let's just take a look, okay? Yeah. Only in Saudi Arabia for now. There was a man just recently sentenced to death for being gay in Uganda. So, they're just battling it out. That's all it really is. But a retired teacher in Saudi Arabia was recently sentenced to death for his tweets criticizing the country's leadership to his handful of followers, according to the rights advocates. Hail to Mutant Bamhammer. He says, how much support does Saudi Arabia get from U.S. tax dollars? A fuckload. And how much money will they continue to get despite executing people for speech? A fuckload. They're like, I'm trying to think of a non-porn way to put this. They're sucking that cock dry. I don't know how else to put it. They're totally sucking that cock dry, and there's no way we're going to stop it. They're like a succubus. running fellatio on a pipe that directly connects to Federal Reserves that are technically empty anyway, but we can print more. Anyway, we're not talking U.S. stuff right now, but shh. All right, Vince Womack says, so when Facebook refused to take down certain pictures of children's, no complaints. Exactly. Dalu says, look out, Corey. Someone has come looking for internet connection. Yeah, those internet psychopaths. Did I miss somebody in the chat? Oyo mitent. I don't know what that means. Anyway, Small Time Republic says, of all countries, Saudis don't need our financial support. This is true, but we probably have some pretty interesting deals with the Saudis. Just saying. A handful of followers. Oh, yeah. The sentencing of Mohammed Al-Ghamdi, I don't know how to say that, who is in his mid-50s, is the latest in an escalating crackdown on social media users in Saudi Arabia. While others are serving prison terms ranging from 20 to 45 years for their tweets and online criticism of the government, Al-Ghamdi appears to be the first person sentenced to death based solely on his posts on X, formerly called Twitter, and YouTube activity. Just let that sink in. We all gonna get executed because our Twitter accounts in the future, but it'll just be for it'll be for literally the same thing, just different. It's the same, but different, but still the same. Mutant Bamhammer says Saudis probably get a never-ending stream as the U.S. regime desperately tries to prop up petrodollar. Saudis play along because free money motivates them. It is nice to have just a passive income. I mean, from what I hear, I don't have a passive income, so I wouldn't know that by like experience. I'm just saying, bro. Like, for real though, they are going, like, we've been getting sucked dry for a while. Just saying. So, a wide-scale targeting of critics has unfolded as Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. I'm going to go with Salmon. Let's call him Salmon. Pushes sensitive reforms that have overhauled the life and loosened restrictions for many in the country. These sweeping reforms, like allowing women to drive, ending strict gender segregation rules in public, and opening the country to entertainment and tourism, have coincided with a similarly sweeping crush of dissent. I'm catching some contradicting vibes from Saudi Arabia right now. They're becoming less strict on things, but they're executing people over saying that's a bad thing. Okay. Al-Ghamdi, a father of 7 living in Mecca, 7? Psh, pump those numbers up, homie, had gained just 10 followers between the two anonymous accounts he ran on X. According to Human Rights Watch, he used social media site to rail against the alleged government corruption, but was mostly resharing posts by popular government critics. Uh-oh. Ow, ow, itchy. Oh my gosh. Just kidding. All right. Not really, but you know. Hey, Vince says in the US, it's probably going to be for questioning the election. Yeah. Probably. Right. Poe Baby's like 7 of his 10 followers were his kids. Yeah, probably. One of them was probably the other ghost account that he used. So that's 8. 2 people. This guy got arrested for telling 2 people he didn't like what the government was doing. Vince Womack says the prince knows that they can't just rely on oil. He wants tourism in the country. Yes, well, stop executing everybody that breaks a law. Unless, of course, you're going the way of Judge Dredd. You're going to set up something like that. Then do you do you. I don't know how that would help tourism, but you know. Small Time Republic with a hot take. Controversial. Women can drive as well as men. It's parking that's a problem. You had me in the first half. Mutant Bamhammer. I think what the article is trying to say is that Saudi Arabia loosening up on things they controlled before while glossing over the dictator there is executing people who make him look bad. That's pretty much what the article is pointing out. And it's the most popular social media site in Saudi Arabia. That would have been a little loud, crushing my water bottle and stuff, so I apologize. Yeah. So, Twitter accounts targeted. Is this another? No. Da-da-da-da-da. The head of monitoring and advocacy at the A.L. QST Human Rights Group says even as users were being targeted and detained for their tweets, the platform remained a kind of final frontier where Saudis could express their views, even if anonymously. Obviously, not anonymously. This guy got arrested using 2 separate anonymous accounts. Anonymous is a lie. It's a lie. It was the last space where people were actually discussing social issues. Everyone in the physical space in real life has censored themselves. They know they're endangered, but people thought maybe on Twitter, especially with an anonymous account, they could be safe. Lie, 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 lie. So yeah, how's Twitter looking for, how's X looking for all you users out there, huh? Just saying. And now for a word from our sponsor, NordVPN. Check it out. Goodness gracious, but not even anonymous accounts protected users from Saudi prosecution. It's unclear how Saudi authorities were able to verify Al-Mahdi's identity on X. In other cases, it appears the identity of Saudi users may have been leaked, exposing them to arrest and long prison sentences, which is why Twitter is currently being sued for assisting Saudi Arabia in human rights violations. Look it up. An FBI complaint and federal investigation in the United States led to the conviction last year of former Twitter employee found guilty of failing to register as an agent for Saudi Arabia. And that directly led to the lawsuit that I mentioned. He was also convicted of taking bribes in exchange for passing along confidential user data of Saudi government critics. And this is the message that is being sent to Saudi Arabia. Excuse me. I don't think that was part of it, but you can include it if you want. You are not safe, whatever you do. Whoever you are, you just have to muzzle yourself. Yeah. She spoke with the NPR while on exile in Europe. Her sister is a prominent Saudi women's rights advocate who was detained for nearly 3 years in connection to her activism until her release in 2021. Yeah. Criticism met with counterterrorism law. Al-Mahdi's case. Wow, I said it right. Nope, I didn't. Al-Mahdi's case. Al-Ghamdi's case. Al-Ghamdi is particularly striking because apparently very small reach of his account. in contrast with the sentencing he was handled. Vince says, so Twitter wasn't passing along the data, it was basically stolen. But Elon bad. Social media bad. And trust me, it probably wasn't stolen. They probably paid for it. Just, that's my personal guess. All right. Is they paid for it? The Saudi government went, here's a fuckload of money. And Twitter went, here's this information. And then they went, peace, bro. And they moved on. And they're all like, have fun executing people for saying things you don't agree with. And Saudi was like, oh, thank you. We will definitely do that. You have fun censoring everyone else in the world. It's going to work out great. Yeah. Court documents reviewed by rights activists and Human Rights Watch show he was sentenced to death on July 10th under the country's vaguely worded counterterrorism law for using his social media accounts to commit crimes such as insulting the Saudi king or crown prince and supporting terrorist ideology. I don't know exactly what he was sharing and retweeting, but not many people saw that shit. He was found guilty by the Specialized Criminal Court in Riyadh. That's a lovely place. I hear that's a great place to go. The court was established 15 years ago to try terrorism cases, but has also used to prosecute government critics. What prosecutors often argue in these cases is that insulting or criticizing Saudi Arabia's leadership poses a threat to national security and can destabilize society. If you're that fucking weak, you don't deserve to fucking exist. I apologize for my outburst, but it's fucking true. Let's be honest. If you can be brought down by harsh words, you're a fucking bitch country. I don't care how fucking rich you are. Is the United States brought down by all the people say about Biden and Trump and all the other leaders that have existed? Fuck no. It's made us stronger, but you guys are fucking pussies that can't even take a word of criticism. Not that you can watch this show. Now that I've criticized you, I'm illegal in your fucking Saudi Arabia, but what the fuck ever. Yes. Terrorists. Like the J6 people. Okay. Okay, so here's the next question, chat and those watching on replay. How important is it to have free speech? If you didn't have free speech, what would it look like? It would look like getting executed for your fucking tweets. That's what would look like. And of course, they do this all over the damn place in the world. Okay. Like I touched on before, there's a guy getting executed in Iran for being gay. Or no, Uganda for being gay. There were other things that happened in Iran that are pretty bad. But my brain is totally drawing a blank on what that was exactly. But let's just say it's not good. I got one more I'm going to drop on you guys, and it's just to lighten things up a little bit. Just lighten things up, And when I say lighten things up, you have to ignore the headline that says people die in Ecuador, because that's, only part of the story. Okay. Do you guys like, hey, Vince Womack says those who would give up essential liberty to purchase temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. Benjamin Franklin. Indeed. And I'm glad that Dalu is laughing. I'm glad. Yeah. I no tongue no more. I'm going to take a puff of my nicotine. Hold on. I need a stimulant. Much better. And now there's a train going by. Okay. I get it. drugs are bad. Okay. But do you know how they smuggle cocaine in Ecuador? Yeah, bananas. You guys should go out and buy bananas if you like cocaine, because there might be some on them. Banana. That's right. Security in Ecuador has come to undone as drug cartels exploit the banana market industry to ship cocaine. Yeesh. Goodness gracious. It is not a good thing. I'm not going to try to pronounce that. In Ecuador, men walk through a lush plantation between Ecuador's balmy Pacific coast and its majestic Andes, lopping hundreds of bunches of green bananas from growing plants twice their height. Ah, 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 ah. Yeah, I feel you, homie. I feel you. Off bananas since Lizzo. I feel you. Go watch Trigger Warning one more time. I feel you. Workers haul the bunches to an assembly line where the bananas are washed, weighed, and plastered with stickers for European buyers. Owner Franklin Torres is monitoring all activity on a recent morning to make sure the fruit meets international beauty standards, unlike the women we have these days, and ever more important, is packed for shipment free of cocaine. Vince Womack says not just boar, but bananas are highly radioactivity. That wouldn't surprise me either. You know, Pacific Islands and stuff like that might have quite a bit. But, you know, Small Time Republic says it's perfectly normal to eat a banana and wake up and be awake for 3 days. Hell yeah, it is. Rock and roll, bitches. But anyway, so apparently, South American country is the world's largest exporter of bananas, shipping around 6.5 million metric tons a year by sea. It is also wedged between the world's largest cocaine producers, Peru and Colombia. Yeah, and they definitely figured out that bananas are the perfect vessel for their shit. Oh, I don't want to give all that away. Okay, fine. Here it is. Bananas. Yuck, yuck. All right, drug traffickers' infiltration of the industry that is responsible for 30% of the world's bananas has contributed to an unprecedented violence across the once peaceful nation. Shootings, homicides, kidnappings, and extortions have become part of daily life, particularly in the Pacific port city and banana shipping hub of whatever the fuck that word is. Who knows? All right, so this picture is provided, blah, 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 showing 17,637 pounds of cocaine in the Netherlands. And how did they get there? From Ecuador, banana shipment. I can just see it. They're like, oh, dude. Oh, I got like a hint of banana on that bump. Yeah. This is everyone's responsibility. The person who transports it, the person who buys it, the person who consumes it, says Dahlia Chang, 59, a lifelong resident of that place I can't pronounce. They all share responsibility. They have ruined our country. Cocaine does that, yo. Cocaine does that. I mean, that sounds like a great weekend, right? Weekend that lasted for 3 months until the heart attack took me. Yeah. Like, damn. The country, which is not a major cocaine producer, was especially rattled when the presidential candidate, known for his tough stance on organized crime and corruption, was fatally shot at the end of an August 9th campaign rally. It's been a while since I've actually heard of... No, I guess it really hasn't been that long since I've heard of politicians being assassinated. Assassinated. Yeah. What's up? Yeah. So he had accused the Ecuadorian Los Choneros gang and its imprisoned leader, whom he linked to Mexico's Sinaloa. Hey, that's a great group of guys, right? Yeah. Of threatening him and his campaign days before the assassination. Well, you talk shit about the cartels in a place like that, you're probably gonna get fucking whacked. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but learn to keep your mouth shut when the time is right. In addition to the proximity to cocaine production, cartels from Mexico, Colombia, and the Balkans have settled in Ecuador because it uses the US dollar and has weak laws and institutions, along with a network of long established gangs like Los Choneros that are eager for work. Yes, of course they're eager for work. They're fucking cartel members. They're like, orale, Holmes, you gonna ship this shit? Let's go. Gotta get back for the quinceañera. Orale. Authorities say Ecuador also gained prominence in the global cocaine trade after political changes from Colombia last decade. Political changes in Colombia last decade. Cocoa bush fields in Colombia have been moving closer to the border of Ecuador due to the breakup of criminal groups after 2016 demobilization of the rebel group Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia, better known by their Spanish acronym FARC. FARC. Vince Womack says in 2020, at least 4 African leaders were removed, and they all opposed coof shots, but nothing to see here. Move along. Yeah, you know. 2020 and 2021. Well, that's fine. It's just coincidence, bro. It's just a coincidence. A record 2,304 metric tons of cocaine was manufactured in 2021 around the world, mostly in Colombia, Peru, and Bolivia. Peru? Standing Monkey says, "Fuck you, man." Po Baby goes, "Wink, wink. Yo, wink, wink. Yeah, I look like I'm having a seizure. I don't know." Moving on. Gosh. Yeah, that year, nearly a third of the cocaine seized by customs authorities in Western and Central Europe came from Ecuador, double the amount reported in 2018, according to United Nations report citing data from World Customs Organization. Mutant Bamhammer says, where did they get those cocaine production numbers? Also, those are rookie numbers. You got to bump up those numbers. Okay, first of all, that's just what was legally reported through the federal reporting system. It's like here in the United States, they're all like, "Did you get any money off of stealing shit?" And you're like, "Oh yeah, absolutely. I made about $1,000 from stealing little phones from people and selling them for $25 on eBay. It was so good." And Po Baby says, "Exactly." It says that's just a number they found. They were just like, yeah. Yeah, that seems a little low. I'm sorry, 2,304 metric tons is a little low. That's not going to happen. Whatever. Authorities announced on August 25th, Spain's biggest cocaine haul yet, 9.5 metric tons hidden aboard cardboard boxes of bananas from Ecuador's in refrigerated containers. Sweet. That's fun. Guys, I need bananas. Bananas. Dutch officials also made their country's largest ever cocaine seizure last month, nearly 8 metric tons, in a container of Ecuadorian bananas. Authorities in Greece and Italy also announced seizures of Ecuadorian bananas holding cocaine. I mean, wonder how much cocaine you can fit in a bunch. You know what I mean? Excuse me. Like, boxed at plantation, loaded into truck, massive warehouses, and then they're transferred to maritime containers. At any point, it could fucking, hey, look, and then they head to the Caribbean Sea. Yar. Yo ho, a pirate's life for me. All over again. Yar. In case you're not aware of that news story, make sure you go and check out my previous Corey's Corner talking about pirates in San Francisco. If you haven't watched that one yet, check it out. There's actual fucking pirates in San Francisco. Oh my gosh. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we're in the last 30 seconds, so I'm going to go ahead and wind down. Check it out. I'm going to be on Monday night Meltdown tonight. And then tomorrow, I'm going to be here, Corey's Corner, 11 a.m. Mountain Time to 12 Mountain Time. And we will be talking about something. I forget what the topic was. But that being said, I will also be back Thursday at this exact time. Okay? At this exact time. From 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. My alarm is going off to feed the cats. Sorry. Gosh. Anyway, Thursday night, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Mountain Time. Before Thursday Night Throwdown, we will be doing Dix News US. And we'll be covering only U.S. news regarding politics and stupid bullshit going on right here at home. That's right. Home for me, anyway. If it's not your home, I feel sorry for you. Oh my gosh. But, you know, as Shawnee Stepp says, thank you, come again. Thank you, come again. And Vince Womack reminds you to drop a tip at ko-fi.com/Sir Doxalot. That's right. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, until about an hour from now, stay sexy, don't get murdered, and as always, have a wonderful time. Yeah, you really should. It'll be good for you.